Hey, if you guys do the Gene Anderson's paper tear or any one of the paper tears and you're disturbed like I am by the shrinking newspaper sizes making things not work as well, the flash restoration on the Gene Anderson's paper tear doesn't look as nice when the paper's kind of tiny little thing. I have a fix. It maybe isn't the best fix, but it is a rig, and it starts using the standard newspaper. I'm going to use two of the 2x. Newspapers used to be 16 inches wide, now they're 11. So coincidentally, if you take a third piece of paper, it's just a half a sheet, tear one of the doubles in half, this, folded in half, will get us back to our original 16-inch width paper, which will give us a little bit more heft. So, I'll show you how I do that. Again, it's not the perfect solution, but it is a solution, and if you're pressed for time and you're working in an environment where the angles are bad and that new narrow paper is making life miserable, at least you'll get a wider paper this way, and it'll work better. You're going to need, to not knock that over, but you'll of course need duplicates. You'll need two of these sections that are going to be eventually your 4 pages. Now, I don't use the 5th page, and I'll show you later what I do to not even bother about the 5th page. The load's just hanging here, but I never show it, and nobody's ever questioned it. You can always put a 5th page in if you want, but I just don't bother with that. But we're eventually going to end up with a wider version of this, and it'll look a little bit like a patchwork quilt, but it will work. Again, it's just a fix. Okay, so here's the way I do it. I take my double sheet, and this just happens to work out nice and conveniently, but I use a yardstick to give myself about an inch of overlap. I'll go ahead and make a black line on there, and I will just glue the heck out of it. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little bit of overlap, because what's going to happen is I'm going to glue this section to here. So, in order to keep most of the glue off my table, I'm actually going to overlap them like this, just so I have glue everywhere. I don't have to worry as much about getting the glue right up to the line, because I am going to go ahead and get this one. You'll see why I do this. Yes, it'll come right off the table. Don't let the kids eat it. Alright. Flip this over. I line it up with that line. Boom. All this will dry. And what I'm going to do now is make a new center of the newspaper. Again, it's going to have a patchwork kind of quilt look to it, but a lot of that's not going to matter when you end up holding it up to the audience like this, like you're reading a paper. It's just going to look like more newspaper. I'll glue the other one, and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, I now have my two double sheeted patchwork quilt papers, and you look at it and you go, well, that looks a little bit funky, but when you pull out the newspaper initially, especially if you're doing any kind of reading, it doesn't look that unusual from the back if you're doing kind of the standard magician thing. As far as not using the 5th page, this is a subtle little thing come up with by my friend Bill Arnold, but nobody's ever questioned me on it. If I'm showing the paper, I can show this inside section turned. Now, of course, the secret will be hidden, but normally it's just showing the inside, just doing it that way, and then turning the audience this way and showing the last side. And it seems odd, I know, that you're completely, in a way, almost whiffing on showing the middle, but it sure looks like you have shown all of the paper. Anyway, that's a solution I've come up with, at least to giving you a little bit wider paper, which will really help if you're working in an environment where the angles are pretty tough, and if you're missing that nice flash restoration where the paper restores and it's got some heft to it. Let me know if you have any questions.